number 6 Iowa State, along with Dan Bonner, Tim Brando. Happy to have you with us. And, you know, Dan, when you start talking about Selection Sunday being just a month away, the impact of today's game could echo throughout the remainder of the regular season.
Tim, I think you're looking at two teams here, one a number 1 seed, one a number 2 seed. Who knows how far this game will go to determine that. Of course, there's a lot of basketball left to be played, and this is a great atmosphere to play basketball in.
And for the rematch of this Big 12 pair of Titans, Iowa State and Kansas, Vaughn and Jacy Holloway, youngster out of the state of Kansas, playing for Iowa State. Willoughby, well worth watching. They're hoping to keep him healthy. Jerod Haase, of course, playing with a broken hand. This is a series that dates back for some time, the 198th meeting. The last time the Jayhawks lost to Iowa State, it cost them the Big 8 championship trophy in the Big 8 conference tournament. Don Rutledge is our crew chief today with David Dodge and David Hall. The opening tip is controlled to Kansas. Pierce, the alley-oop to LaFrentz. And right away, it's Viva LaFrentz.
Iowa State, one of their goals is to prevent transition baskets, and right off the opening tip, they get a transition basket. Man-to-man for Kansas.
Jacy Holloway, operating at the point, will be dogged by Vaughn throughout. His on-ball pressure has been well documented throughout his collegiate career. Bankhead, a defensive specialist not known for his shot. Cato gets the offensive rebound.
Remember, Kansas playing without Scott Pollard, who Roy Williams calls one of his best defensive rebounders since Roy Williams been at Kansas. So
Holloway can't hit. Out of bounds. It belongs to KU. Hilton Coliseum, Ames, Iowa. Our site, Tim Floyd, will turn 43 on February 25th. From southern Mississippi, son of a coach. His dad passed away when he was 18 years of age, tutored under Don Haskins, a Hall of Famer. And Scotty Robertson is now coaching for Pat Riley when he was a player at Louisiana Tech. Dedric Willoughby. (3-2) Iowa State by 1. A minute and a half gone by in Ames.
Man-to-man defense for the Cyclones. The Bankhead-Pierce matchup is one to watch.
Numbers. Holloway. Cross-court pass to Willoughby. He's free. Pratt trying to keep it alive, and LaFrentz clears it to Jacque Vaughn. Pierce is fouled by Bankhead. That's the first against Bankhead, and a cheap one.
Tim, Dedric Willoughby, one of the best three-point shooters in the United States, and here he just takes the ball right at Jerod Haase and drills it. He made a couple of those in the first half of the game up at Kansas before he hurt his hamstring and missed the entire second half.
Pratt comes away with the rebound of LaFrentz's shot.
Iowa State, not a team that really looks to get out in transition, but they really look to attack the basket with guys like Kenny Pratt.
5-2 Cyclones. Jerod Haase for 3. Silencing the crowd.
Willoughby only about 90%, Tim, on that hamstring. He's going to have a tough time staying with Haase. Haase did a nice job getting open off the screen.
Holloway. David Dodge spotting a foul against Kelvin Cato.
Kenny Pratt, a smallish 4 guy on the inside, does a nice job getting to the basket and making the nice pass to Cato. Cato's a big guy you cannot leave alone close to the basket.
High pick, and it's a moving pick. B.J. Williams trying to free Jacque Vaughn. Jacy Holloway rubbing off of that high pick. Roy Williams. 2 Final Fours, but this particular team, this senior-laden club that has done so much, has yet to make it to the big dance. And for Jacque Vaughn, he would be the only point guard to have played for Williams in 9 years to have not played in a Final Four.
Of course, Tim, we've got some basketball left to be played. It's not like he's done yet. They've got a whole heck of a lot of time to go.
That's why this team is so driven. Anything less than a national championship would be a disappointment to this senior class. Bankhead. B.J. Williams with some quality defense. Cato trying to keep it alive. Out of bounds to Kansas.
One of the things that Kansas needs to try to prevent is the penetration by Iowa State to the basket. Both Pratt and Bankhead are guys who are going to look to take it to the basket. Pratt in particular, very good at drawing fouls on the inside. And Kansas, playing without Pollard, can't afford to get their inside guys in foul trouble.
Here's Saliner. Inside the arc, it's a 2-7-5 our score.
Pierce, I think, is one of the real fine wing players in the country, Tim, and he's always had the ability to get to the basket, but this year he's done a better job on the perimeter. That makes him tougher to guard.
Cato, double team. Well, Kansas's interior defense has been outstanding. Tim Floyd beginning to work David Dodge. He thinks a little too much defense down low by the Jayhawks. Williams. Jacy Holloway brings it down. Willoughby working on Haase.
That hamstring really limits Willoughby's mobility. And as a result, he's not as quick to the basket.
Pratt is stripped. Jacque Vaughn. Consummate guard at both ends. LaFrentz on the offensive glass. Finally, Holloway gets his second rebound in as many possessions.
And Cato's asking to come out of the game. Tim Floyd's ignoring him. Cato's really tired. In fact, the entire Iowa State team looks like they're dragging up and down right at the moment. The pace has been intense so far.
A lot of adrenaline. Some poor shooting early. Can't hit from point blank range. Tries it again. Kenny Pratt is a guy that loves contact. Almost is looking for a foul with every shot inside the painted area.
Notice how far Pratt plays off LaFrentz on the inside. And LaFrentz is a guy who can obviously hit the shot from that point. And if LaFrentz is going to take him and make him, then Iowa State's defense is going to have to adjust. Some real matchup problems for Iowa State.
Raef LaFrentz has 4. Some of his family and friends have made it down from Monona, Iowa. 3.5-hour drive from Ames to support him today. There are only a few here supporting the Kansas Jayhawks among the 14,200 in our capacity crowd. Bankhead can't hit. There's Cato. That was a tired-looking shot.
It's a shot that you got to convert.
Haase leaves it for LaFrentz.
Tim, it never fails if you do not convert an easy opportunity such as Cato just had. Kansas is the kind of a team that makes you pay for it by running down and getting an easy basket on the other end. As Missouri demonstrated the other night, the best way to keep pressure on Kansas is to score consistently.
Vaughn comes away with it again. Turnover after turnover committed by Iowa State. Haase. Player control foul going against Jerod as Willoughby had possession. 13:36 remaining opening half. A frenetic start leading Kansas to an early edge on the road.
My grandfather. The road to the Final Four is sponsored by Oldsmobile, official car for NCAA championships. UPS, moving at the speed of business. And by Rogaine, medically proven to regrow hair for men and women.
#1 Kansas with a 4-point edge early, and a night to forget and unlucky January 13th for Dedric Willoughby and Kelvin Cato. Neither really were factors in the prior meeting at Fog Allen.
No, they weren't. Those 17 minutes were all in the first half by Willoughby. He scored 9 points but injured his hamstring and missed the second half. And Cato, who has 1 foul so far in the game, got in foul trouble early, fouled out of that game, did not play very much for Tim Floyd. So I guess turnabout's fair play. Kansas coming in here playing without Scott Pollard, who has that fracture in his foot. But Iowa State was a little bit shorthanded when they went up to Lawrence.
By the way, no real word as yet on when Pollard will be available. They did x-ray him again on Friday and found those x-rays to be somewhat inconclusive about when they hope to get him back. Conventional wisdom had him back in about 3 weeks, but no confirmation of that. Jacque Vaughn picks up the foul, reaching in. Scott is certainly a leader for this team in more ways than one. Unconventional off the floor, but fundamentally sound on, and that's what Roy Williams really appreciates.
And there's Haase with the steal. Pollard, an excellent shot blocker, an excellent rebounder. Kansas really does miss him.
Cyclones have turned it over 4 times. Haase, and that is too easy. Tim Floyd will be upset about that. Haase has 5.
Kansas had a dunk to start the game. LaFrentz had another dunk in a fast break situation. Now Haase with the layup. Kansas with a number of easy opportunities early, and that's exactly what Tim Floyd knew that his team had to avoid.
Pratt working inside. The contact he loves. He's actually a better shooter when he gets his body on the defender. 13-9. Vaughn off the dribble.
Nice
TJ Pugh. A tremendous follow by Pugh. Just into the game after the timeout. The sophomore from Creighton Prep in Omaha, Nebraska.
And Pugh really hurt the Cyclones up. Pugh really hurt the Cyclones in the game at Lawrence. Came off the bench and scored 8 points in the first half. Iowa State's problem. They haven't been able to put good pressure on defensively, and Kansas doing a pretty nice job on the defensive end.
Klay Edwards is in the game. We touched on Cato showing some early signs of fatigue. Out of that timeout, Tim Floyd giving him a blow.
That's a tough shot right there.
Pratt on the offensive glass. 6 in the game for Kenny Pratt. The lead is 4 for KU. Jerod Haase really lobbying for a foul, a push by Klay Edwards, as is Roy Williams. We'll be back.
Kansas leading by 4, and with Iowa State looking for some offense, they turn to their 6'5", 230-pound senior, Kenny Pratt. Pratt operates very effectively down inside. The good quick moves, really likes the contact. Kansas worried about fouling him, and they didn't really play aggressively against him on that occasion. And here Pratt just beats Pugh to the rebound. Excellent timing and the power to get it up on the board, Tim.
Not quite 9 minutes deep here in the opening half. Kansas really utilizing poor passing by Iowa State and some quality defense to get turnovers and easy baskets, easing out to a 4-point cushion.
Haase doing an excellent job against Willoughby. Again, that hamstring limits Willoughby's ability to get to the basket, although uses the screen effectively that time.
15-13. This is a dream matchup for Jacy Holloway, checking the All-American Jacque Vaughn.
Notice Cato down close to the basket, leaves Pugh alone out on the perimeter.
Holloway works hard to get it, maintains his balance. Willoughby with the dump down to Cato. It's a tie ball with the arrow to Iowa State. Good work again by Pugh.
Pratt is a valuable guy on both ends. Watch the pick that he lays right there on Jerod Haase to get Willoughby open. We said Willoughby not moving as quickly as he normally would as a result of that hamstring problem. But boy, when you get a screen like Kenny Pratt just laid on Haase, you can get open.
6 points, 4 rebounds, and a couple of floor checks. Pratt off the back iron. Pierce brings it down.
Pratt forced that one, really looking for the contact.
Ryan Robertson, young man that had to play the first 10 games of the season when Vaughn was sidelined with his injury that was well documented. Pierce.
Fouled by Bankhead, and that's 2 fouls on Bankhead now.
Yeah, that early one was very cheap, and it can come back to haunt a designated defender. Tim Floyd really needs him on the floor. This is an Iowa State team not nearly as deep as Kansas. But then again, Kansas is used to having more depth than just about everybody.
You tell me for 1 second who is nearly as deep as Kansas. Kansas, one of the reasons they're at the top of the polls right at the moment, Roy Williams has an excellent program, not just an excellent team. Depth up and down the line, quality players.
You run out of bodies many times when you're taking on a Kansas team. And Cato would love to forget what happened to him. Foul difficulty very early. He had 4 fouls and was sitting with 19 minutes remaining in that game. And now it's Bankhead that's on the pine after 10 minutes of play in game number 2.
What a catch by Pratt.
3-on-1. Again, Kansas defends it well as Stevie Johnson couldn't hit. Pratt throws one up, and it's pulled down by Pierce.
Pierce actually blocked the shot and then came back and got the rebound. Boy, you're seeing some guys doing a great job on both ends of the court here.
Thomas, Billy Thomas. Can't hit Pratt, the outlet.
Pratt is touching every ball.
Willoughby, a pull-up. Dedric from deep. And we have an injured player. It appears to be Paul Pierce.
It's like he might have gotten poked in the eye. I didn't really see what happened. But these guys are really getting after one another. You know, Pratt has touched just about the ball every time down the court. He's made great catches on tough passes, picked up loose balls. TJ Pugh is the guy who's scrambling for the rebound inside. And as you watch him in this scramble inside, he's going to come up, and now he's locked up with Cato, and he throws an elbow at Cato and misses Cato and hits his own teammate. And Pierce is sitting over on the bench wondering what town he's in.
Ryan Robertson being checked by Holloway. A lot of face guarding down low, Dan, particularly on the low block. Stevie Johnson trying to keep up with Billy Thomas. That's not easy.
Excellent defense. Just outstanding defense.
Cato comes down with the air ball. Boy, Willoughby wanted it. Holloway did not see him in time. So he continues to run Jerod Haase through screens on the low block.
Holloway saw Willoughby. He just didn't want to give him the ball, Tim. Not enough time off the clock.
Tough pass leads to a turnover as Klay Edwards couldn't retrieve it. That's the 5th Cyclones turnover. The good news for them is that evidently they won't give up a transition basket. Again, you see they're checking Paul Pierce.
And it's possible that that elbow did catch him in the eye. They're doing the old test over there.
You've had a few of those, I take it.
Well, no, in a minute they're going to pull out the eye chart and ask him how many E's and what the letters are.
8.5 remaining here in the first half from Ames, Iowa. Tim Brando and Dan Bonner, happy to have you with us.
Cato is just parked under the basket. It's basically a 4-man, man-to-man, and a 1-man zone.
Nice work by Stevie Johnson, and then a reach-in foul against Kansas.
You better be strong with the basketball today.
DJ Williams gets his second.
Well, now Kansas, they already don't have Pollard. Pierce is on the bench, and he's hurt. 2 fouls on B.J. Williams. When we said Kansas has a lot of guys, but they can run out of them at this pace as well.
The adrenaline in the first 10 minutes of this game at a very high level. Many times you see some frustrating turnovers because of it. Now you can see that these guys are beginning to feel the game come to them as Willoughby's now 3 or 4 from beyond the arc. 19-17, Iowa State with the lead. Its first lead since it was 5-2. Vaughn, a silencer.
They're not going to stay silent for very long, Tim. I'm telling you what, you want to watch some action off the ball. You watch Dedric Willoughby. He is working as hard as a person can work, and there he travels with the ball. Vaughn with great defense.
Willoughby trying to get Vaughn airborne, did so, but then again, so did his ankle.
Indicate just how close this game is. Transition points. Iowa State wants to keep those down for Kansas. All three of the three-pointers for the Cyclones belong to Dedric Willoughby. That's not good news, Dan, for Roy Williams.
It's not good news for Roy Williams because they know they've got to cover Willoughby out there. But, Tim, I think the transition points even right now. If Iowa State can keep that statistic just in about that range, they're in pretty good shape.
Iowa State trailing most of the way in this first half. Seized the lead moments ago, and now Kansas has tied them.
Cato with the rebound.
Boy, showing you the ability to jump quickly, went for the block, and then he went right back up for the rebound.
Pratt again.
I think Iowa State's surprising Kansas a little bit with their willingness to get out and get down the court and take advantage of the defense that's not quite set.
Vaughn off the dribble.
Drills home a 2. That's 4 in the game for Jacque Vaughn. Tied at 21.
Yeah, on paper, you look at this game and you think, well, Iowa State wants to keep it in the 50s and 60s, but perhaps more so when playing in Lawrence than here in their own building.
One thing that Iowa State has not done well is take care of the basketball. That's 7 turnovers now, and you just don't want to pass up that many opportunities against Kansas because they've got guys like LaFrentz who convert down on the other end.
Raef has 8 in the game.
Timmy Floyd told us that Raef LaFrentz, in his opinion, has become a better offensive force since Pollard was injured. Now, that doesn't mean he believes that they're a better team without Scott Pollard, but in truth, LaFrentz now with a little more operating room
In the painted area upon getting an entry pass. LaFrentz is 4 for 7. The rest of KU 6 of 15. So he's really been a factor.
Holloway just forced it in there.
E.J. Williams setting up the pick. There's LaFrentz, but facing the basket this time.
They're guarding LaFrentz out on the perimeter with Pratt, knowing that they've got Cato behind to help out.
He's touched it 18 times offensively.
Another turnover.
That's 8 committed by Iowa State. Make it 9. Here's Haase. Air ball.
There you see the turnover story. Iowa State with 5 more than the Jayhawks, but the transition points not a factor, at least for now, where the Cyclones are concerned.
Oh, what a great pass
From Stevie Johnson. Vaughn fouled by Holloway. I've been in this building many times. When Johnny Orr was coaching, they would tear the roof off of this place. It's always been a tough out. Anytime you come into this building, if you were in the Big 8 and now in the Big 12, this is the loudest I've ever heard it.
Stevie Johnson does a great job coming up and throwing the great lob pass before Haase can get up to defend it. That's just a perfectly thrown pass, but it's interesting. This crowd has really gone bonkers a couple of times, and each time that they have, it's been this young man right here who's silenced them. 2 field goals now, trip to the free throw line.
Jacque Vaughn and Tim Duncan. All of college basketball really believes that the
Fruits of their labors could help. Both seniors, both opting to stay in college, both true student athletes. The hopes are that these 2 individuals are not an aberration. 24-23, Kansas by 1.
Vaughn has done a great job also putting pressure on Holloway. Haven't been very many easy looks for Holloway.
Pratt goes crossover, gives it up to Holloway. The iron unkind, cleared to Jacque Vaughn. stolen by Willoughby. Pratt, where he's comfortable, and he walks on the ball fake. 3:55 remaining in the first half. 12 turnovers already for Tim Floyd's team.
12 conference standings now. They're broken into two divisions, the North and South, but the conference standings are listed as one complete conference. And you notice the Northern Division represented by Kansas, Colorado, and Iowa State, and then the South with Texas, as well as Oklahoma and Texas Tech.
Big 12, one of the power conferences, considered by most folks to be #1 or #2, depending upon where you rank the ACC. There are some excellent basketball teams in this league, and we're fortunate to see two of them today.
Haase, loose ball, last touch by B.J. Williams.
Cato and Pratt just doing a heck of a job on the boards. Kansas, that rebounding margin on the season, that's among the best in the country, but today they're down 9. Kansas rebounding margin, that's on the season for the most part. That includes Scott Pollard. Without Pollard, they're even in rebounding with the opposition, and they've been out-rebounded, the Jayhawks have, in their last 2 games.
Well, what Iowa State has done by negating Kansas's offense where rebounding is concerned. There's Willoughby on the seat of his pants. They've turned it over, and that's really negated the rebounding edge. They've been careless with the basketball too often. Yet they lead by 2. Pierce.
And for the Kansas faithful, it's good to see Pierce back in the basketball game. He took that blow, elbow from his teammate, and went out, and he's back in. Appears to be okay. One of the things that Iowa State is doing on defense is Kelvin Cato, Tim, is not really guarding anybody in that man-to-man defense. He's just staying right under the basket, trying to help out on defense. He's in pretty good rebounding position, and Kansas is going to have to recognize and try to get the ball in the hands of the guy Cato's guarding to see if they can't do some damage.
Of course, all eyes on Kansas and Iowa State. But in addition to that, Wake Forest playing Missouri, and of course the Tigers knocked off the Jayhawks, gave them their first loss of the year, and Norm Stewart's team trying to pull another rabbit out of the hat against a top-tier team. The Demon Deacons would figure to move into #1 if Kansas were to lose today, and Wake Forest knocked off Missouri.
Got to play off Pratt out there. He's not really a jump shooter.
Cato again keeping it alive. Billy Thomas throws it right into the arms of Johnson. He's fouled. Nick Bradford picks it up. Coming up next on Olympic Winterfest, watch downhill skiing featuring same-day coverage of women's giant slalom from the World Alpine Skiing Championships in Sestriere, Italy. It's all next on Olympic Winterfest Countdown to Nagano.
Tim, one of the things that Iowa State really likes to do is to get to the free throw line, and Kansas has done a pretty good job today keeping Iowa State off the line. That was the first free throw for the Cyclones. Iowa State only a 63% free throw shooting team.
Bradford left free. Cato pulls it down.
Bradford was being guarded by Cato, and you notice Cato never came out at all.
Pratt wanted it. Johnson would not give it to him. Here's Willoughby. The finger roll goes.
Boy, Willoughby is feeling it.
16 of Iowa State's 29 belong to Dedric Willoughby. Holloway brings it down. Saves it to Pratt.
You know, Tim, I think Iowa State actually was playing a triangle and 2 defense that time.
Pratt looking for the largest lead of the game. Johnson underneath. Well, you put it down on the deck. and you're looking for a turnover. Arrow on the tie ball to Kansas. Coming up on Pennzoil at the half, Michelle Tafoya will get you caught up on all scores and highlights, plus a special feature. His best friend wanted to be a drug dealer, and he wanted to play basketball. They both achieved their goal. That story at halftime. That's all coming up on Pennzoil at the half.
Man-to-man this time for Iowa State. Cato matched up against LaFrentz, but you notice Cato doesn't follow him outside.
Vaughn, a three-pointer right over Jacy Holloway.
With Cato playing down in the middle, Tim, there's nobody to help on the screen set by LaFrentz. LaFrentz sets a good screen, and Vaughn gets the three. That's great on-the-ball defense right there.
Pratt makes the adjustment in midair. Thomas with the outlet. Not much spacing on that pass by Billy to Jacque. Vaughn leads to the turnover.
Tim, I'll tell you what, Kenny Pratt is very effective in the lane area, but he's had the ball outside the lane, tried a couple of jump shots. That's not what Tim Floyd wants.
Dedric Willoughby responsible for all of that for Iowa State. He has been outstanding. He is 4 for 5 on his own. The rest of his team is 0 for 3 from beyond the arc.
About an 8-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. That's the game clock in the right-hand corner of your screen. There you go.
Pratt in traffic, attracts it, and gets the reach-in foul against Robertson, it would appear. Ryan Robertson. You know, we talked with Roy Williams earlier this week. You see Haase coming into the game, B.J. Williams. We asked him about Pratt. Is there any direction you'd rather take him in if he has the ball? He says, yes, away from the basket. I mean, he is relentless with the basketball. He is going to drive it to the baseline or into the painted area almost fearlessly every time.
Pratt has only played in 12 games, and yet he has been to the free throw line more than any other Cyclone. He takes the ball and he attacks the basket. Shot clock off. Oh, this is a great matchup right here.
Willoughby pulling up. Oh, he is on fire. Dedric from deep. They are tearing the roof off in Ames. .28 Cyclones. Michelle Tafoya will be along with Pennzoil at the half right after this message and a word from your local station. Campus of Iowa State University. And a 4-point lead for the Cyclones. It may be snowy outside, but you can turn up the temperature inside. Dedric Willoughby has had a magnificent, almost a career game in the first half, and that's why they're up by 4.
Tim, we showed you there with that beautiful shot, and we heard the bells ringing. Well, Willoughby's been ringing the bells here today. I'm telling you what, Dedric Willoughby, an excellent three-point shooter, and when you drop a three-pointer like that one early in the game, they come out and guard you, so Willoughby drives to the basket, and then at the end of the first half, you don't expect a 40-foot shot, but boom, it looks good. Now, what do his teammates expect? Well, they know they're on to something right here, and that's the shot that ended the half.
Dedric, a year ago tomorrow, had a career-high 29 points. He's 10 shy of that now. He had a career-high 7 3-pointers. He's only 2 shy of that now. So this time of the month in February is usually when he warms up. Statistically, you look at the turnovers by Iowa State. They've committed a dozen against Kansas, but they only have 9 points off those turnovers. And Dan, they've negated that problem with their dominance on the glass.
Kansas tries to do a couple of things to you, and one of the things that Kansas does very effectively is attack the offensive boards. At halftime, Kansas was with only 2 offensive rebounds. They also try to get out in transition against you. There's that rebounding margin that we've talked about, but Iowa State hasn't permitted that. And then they try to force those turnovers. So there's been a lot of turnovers, but Kansas has not converted them as effectively as they would like. And Kansas, very few offensive rebounds.
Toughest task for Kansas belongs to Jerod Haase. shadowing Dedric Willoughby.
Willoughby has done a great job moving without the basketball. His teammates have done an outstanding job setting screens for him.
Pratt lost it. Taken away by Pierce. Vaughn looking to push.
And Pratt comes hobbling up the court. Boy, Williams was all alone under the basket, and Vaughn didn't even look at him. And now Cato picks up foul number 2. Cato did a nice job not going and slapping at the ball, getting silly fouls in the first half, but that was one he'd like to have back.
Right away, Klay Edwards will check into the game. Kenny Pratt will sit down.
Cato had difficulty staying on the ground. Ball fakes got him in trouble in that first game at Lawrence back on January the 13th. And a minute deep into the second half, he was out of the game with 4 fouls.
Notice how Cato just standing underneath the basket, not guarding B.J. Williams at all.
Klay Edwards brings it down, the sophomore from Morning Sun, Iowa.
When here's Iowa State out running again. Haase very physical with Willoughby in the man-to-man. Bankhead played very little in the first half. He picked up those 2 quick fouls.
Tough pass. And a reach-in foul. Maybe against Cato, and that would be 3. They can come in flurries. Roughly foul-free. Kelvin Cato in the first half. Now 2 cheapies in just the first minute and 8 seconds of the second half.
And now it'll be interesting to see if Kansas elects to take the ball at the basket, see if they can pick up that 4th foul. Cato, really known as a shot blocker, likes to go after the ball. And that's Pierce with a foul. You know, it would be hard to match the fever pitch at which the first half was played. Both of these teams, Tim, seem to come out here in the second half trying to get things settled down. Nobody scored in this half.
Almost 90 seconds deep in this second half. Edwards left absolutely wide open at the arc.
Well, I don't think Edwards is much of a threat from out there.
Push off the ball, Haase against Holloway.
Holloway stepped in and set the screen. The guy that creates that play is once again Willoughby, doing a great job moving without the ball, and Iowa State trying to help him with some screens off the ball to get open. That's called giving it up for the team right there. Holloway really got nailed.
Well, you take Pratt off of the floor along with Willoughby, and then you really only have one option today where scoring's concerned. They really do need, don't they, Pratt and Willoughby in there. B.J. Williams, the rebound.
Vaughn, Kansas.
He's got 10 now, Tim, and he has made some significant baskets in this game. It's not only the number of points that he scored, it's when he has scored them that has really helped keep Kansas in contact here.
Holloway with the dump down to Pratt. Double teamed. He always finds a crease. It's amazing.
Pratt is another guy that doesn't pass it out of there too often. He's operating very effectively inside today, though.
34-30.
A steal by Pratt. Numbers 3 on 2. Holloway in the middle. And Willoughby on the wing. LaFrentz and Pierce fight for it.
Paul Pierce takes it away. Vaughn. A trade for Jacque Vaughn. He has a baker's dozen. 13 on the afternoon. 34-33. Iowa State by 1.
Not a great deal of movement by the interior people on offense for Kansas, Tim. Vaughn really carrying the load at the moment. Now Kansas 1-3-1 zone. Better find Willoughby in this defense.
Bankhead. Pratt an offensive rebound.
Tim Floyd doesn't necessarily want Bankhead shooting that particular shot. Bankhead, like Pratt, much better closer to the basket. Holloway missed a couple early, Tim, and he just hasn't been looking for the shot lately.
Cato gets it. Jump hook will not fall, and LaFrentz
pulls it down.
But look at Vaughn push the ball.
Pierce rejected by Cato. He gets it back and dumps it through. A bold effort defensively by Kelvin Cato, however, with the 3 fouls.
But Pierce just hung with it. You know, some guys that hang their head after they got their shot blocked like that, but Pierce waited for the ball, picked it up, stuck it in the basket.
We've had 5 ties and 6 lead changes in this game. It's Kansas's first lead since 24-23 in the first half. And a foul by Williams, trying to stay with Pratt.
Tim, early in this basketball game, Iowa State was struggling, looking for some offense, and the place Tim Floyd's team found the offense was inside with Pratt, and it looks like Pratt's going to try to fill that role now.
Pratt at the free throw line, the senior from Chicago. Kenny Pratt, the focus of tremendous controversy this year off the floor. Very few free throws. Floyd suspended him indefinitely after he was arrested earlier in the year, but upon an appeal by Pratt's attorney, a university committee made up of high-ranking officials.
Year against Texas Tech in Lubbock, Kansas got way down, and Pierce scored 16 points in the second half to bring them back. So Paul Pierce is a guy that just because they've held him in check pretty well thus far doesn't mean that they can ignore it.
We should note that both Bankhead and Cato are on the floor now with 14 plus to play, each having 3 fouls.
Where they're double teaming Willoughby now, and he gets it inside to Pratt.
Pratt. Good contact by Kansas defensively.
Floyd wanted a foul, couldn't get it.
Haase rejected by Cato, and LaFrentz is there to follow.
And what have we got? We've got a foul here at the end of the play. Foul is against Willoughby.
Well, this is a double whammy for Iowa State.
Cato just does a great job running the court, but much like the last time Cato blocked a shot, Kansas keeps playing, and they recover the ball, and Willoughby picks up the foul on the follow shot. Iowa State really struggling on the offensive end. And Holloway has had a couple of open three-pointers, hadn't been able to hit them.
That guy has.
Willoughby, 1 shy of a career high. He now has 6 3-pointers and 24 points. Vaughn, good look to Pierce.
And Pierce really.
51-43.
And with Kansas beginning to assert some superiority inside, Cato gets up off the Cyclone bench to come back in with his 4 fouls.
Willoughby.
Oh, Dedric is special today.
Are you serious? Willoughby coming off the screen. Edwards just gets a little piece of Haase, and LaFrentz definitely knocks him down.
A record-tying performance from beyond the arc
For Dedric Willoughby.
7 3-pointers. He's 2 points shy of tying his career high. He had 29 points and 7 3-pointers against Nebraska a year ago tomorrow.
Iowa State back in that triangle and 2 defense.
Cato a rejection.
Oh, he's got to be careful.
LaFrentz, and on the putback, Pratt may be guilty. And he bailed out Cato because Cato was in position to get
A foul not once but twice in that sequence.
Pierce is one of the guys they're guarding in the triangle, but a great pass inside by Haase. And Cato backs off, and when he backs off, he's not in position to get the rebound. This triangle and 2 defense, Bankhead was guarding Pearson, Holloway was guarding Vaughn, Willoughby and Pratt and Cato were playing zone, and sometimes it's hard for your blockout responsibilities to be realized in that type of a defense.
Reach-in foul against Pugh. Roy Williams a little upset with his Jayhawks, and
that's one you just give away and allow Iowa State to go to the other end and shoot. Both teams well into the bonus.
And that really is a giveaway because the guy he fouled is Willoughby, and Willoughby an 86% free throw shooter. You can send some guys from Iowa State to the line, but you don't want to be putting Willoughby there.
That is the 9th team foul, so it's 1-1 this time, but the rest of the way it'll be 2.
What a magical game Dedric Willoughby is having. I mean, if he's this good at 90%, good heavens if he ever gets to be 100.
Young man from Archbishop Shaw in New Orleans. Played for Floyd at the University of New Orleans. Came over with him, and they're happy here in Ames that he did. Alley-oop. LaFrentz can't corral it. Out of bounds to Kansas. Kentucky blowing out Villanova. That's good news for teams on the bubble in the Southeastern Conference, one might think. In an intersectional game like that, determinations are made. Still over 10 minutes left of that game. Vaughn over Cato. Holloway staying with it. Out of bounds to Iowa State. Now we may have an overrule. I think Don Rutledge.
He just pointed the wrong way.
He did. He pointed the wrong way and is trying to let Tim Floyd know now. His initial call was that it was Iowa State's. Roy Williams understood, but you'd be hard-pressed to get Tim Floyd to believe it.
Roy Williams may be one of the few people in this building who does understand.
Vaughn will trigger it in. 6 on the shot clock.
Boy, Holloway and Haase, good heavens, what's going on over there?
They may have forgotten about the shot clock. They did. They forgot about the shot clock.
How many times do you see that off an inbound?
Holloway trying to keep track of Haase. Haase making it difficult. Haase goes off the screen, pounds Willoughby, but that's where the shot clock ran out.
Even Jacque Vaughn, the consummate student athlete, forgot about the shot clock that time. Pratt, poor pass while driving.
Offensive foul.
Player control foul against Kenny Pratt, his second, as Pugh got in position to draw the charge.
Pratt is a guy, Tim, it looks to me like he's got to catch the ball relatively close to the basket. The further he has to go, the more dangerous it is for Iowa State because people really can step in and draw the charge.
He reminds me a bit of Greg Buckner of Clemson, a guy that likes to put it on the floor and really has a pretty good in-between game, something you don't see that much of
at the collegiate level.
Buckner's a much better shooter.
Yeah.
Tough pass for Haase. Out of bounds to Kansas.
Tim, I'll tell you what, these kids out here on both sides really working it out there. Haase doing a great job moving without the ball. Now, Don Rutledge is telling Haase and Holloway, guys, just play basketball. Haase with the fracture in his wrist. That hasn't slowed him down.
LaFrentz left free on the wing. 15 in the game for Raef LaFrentz. 54-49.
Iowa State's offense has really been shut down short of Dedric Willoughby. He single-handedly kept them in this game.
Notice how far they play off Pratt when he gets the ball out of the lane area. Also not really guarding Bankhead.
Good pass to Cato. LaFrentz will pick up the foul.
His third.
Cato only a 56% free throw shooter, and Tim, these are a couple of critical free throws.
Kelvin has 4 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks, and his presence, even without getting into the scoring column, very important to Tim Floyd.
They haven't really been looking for Cato on the offense, and the foul trouble he's had in the second half has really prevented him from crashing the offensive boards.
Another of the many transfers for Tim Floyd. Cato out of South Alabama came over with him.
Great job by Pugh to maintain his balance.
54-50. Jayhawks by 4.
Oh my! LaFrentz just cleaned Holloway out on a screen.
That is number 4 on Raef LaFrentz. And that is an equalizer for low post play the rest of the afternoon. Three of Raef's fouls have come in the last 4 minutes, Dan.
Here's Raef LaFrentz right here in this triangle and 2 defense. And as Holloway comes through, LaFrentz just leans that left hip out there and really smacks him. You have to be stationary when you set the screen. When there's contact, you've got to be stationary. LaFrentz was not 4 fouls.
Jacy Holloway looking for his first point. It's a young man that, many times when you're from a certain state and the game is so important, the adrenaline flow is there, but you play, I think, a tight game, and Jacy has done that, at least offensively. Gets that one to drop through, but this is a young man that they've tried to replace ever since Floyd's been here. He's been unable to do it. Kansas is 3-0 when trailing at halftime this season, and they were trailing at halftime in this one, and they've got to figure out a way to stop Dedric Willoughby, and foul difficulty becoming a factor. And Dan, we've already seen during the last timeout jockeying for position by each coach.
You noticed in our game summary, Iowa State, Tim, with only 3 field goals in the second half. They've really lived at the free throw line. They've been in attack mode, and it has been very physical.
During the timeout, Roy Williams sent Jacque Vaughn out to talk to Don Rutledge about illegal screens uncalled. And just that quickly, a foul off the ball spotted. It's against Klay Edwards. Here's Roy during that timeout. You see him saying 5 illegal screens, Don. He's talking with Don Rutledge. Now watch his reaction when Dedric Willoughby was coming out.
Well, what happened was Roy Williams sent Jacque Vaughn out to talk to David Dodge, and then he's yelling at David Dodge, and Vaughn's talking to him, and Tim Floyd sees it, and he sends Willoughby out. And you're right, as soon as Roy Williams saw that, he started to laugh.
B.J. Williams misses both. Bankhead playing with 4 fouls. Cato playing with 4. Both on the court for Iowa State. LaFrentz, who has 4, sitting down right now for Kansas. So Pugh and B.J. Williams are in the painted area defensively.
And the illegal screens that Roy Williams talking about are in an attempt to get Willoughby open.
He's really been the only threat. This time off the dribble, he finds Bankhead.
Bankhead hadn't hit a shot from there yet. He still hasn't scored in the game, and he's missed a couple of those jump shots.
Pierce leaning in. Good no call by Don Rutledge. That ball last touched by Williams. It belongs to Iowa State. We touched on the foul difficulty, and it affects 2 low post players for both teams. LaFrentz picking up 3 of his 4 fouls in a 5-minute span just a few moments ago.
Actually, it's 3 low post players. B.J. Williams actually occupying either the center or the power forward slot for Kansas, so he's in foul trouble too.
Missouri hanging with Wake Forest. Could be a very beneficial week, and that's the 5th foul on Cato. Player control foul, and Kelvin will sit and become a spectator the remainder of the way. He ends the game with 5 points and 9 rebounds.
Cato is not a guy who has real smooth moves around the basket. He just takes and lowers that shoulder, and there wasn't a great deal of contact there, but when he lowers that shoulder, that's almost a call that you have to make.
Vaughn working in on Holloway. Pass. Billy Thomas trying to keep it alive. Holloway saves it somehow. A remarkable save by Jacy Holloway to Willoughby. Pratt flashes. Good overplay by Jacque Vaughn, and another steal.
Vaughn didn't guard Willoughby anymore in the half-court, or excuse me, Holloway anymore in the half-court offense.
Pierce can't connect. Long rebound to Pratt.
Boy, Kansas has really gone into a scoring drought, but Iowa State unable to convert on the offensive end. We've been stuck on 54-51 for a while now.
Since 56-53 for number 1 Kansas, leading by 3 here in Ames. Tonight on CBS, don't miss 60.
And Roy Williams knows that that's not about William Faulkner's father.
He is a well-read man.
Man-to-man defense for Kansas. I think this is a critical possession for Iowa State.
This crowd is just waiting to explode. But without Dedric Willoughby, they've just had no opportunity. I mean, Pratt has been, in effect, taken out of this game in the second half, though he has a double-double.
Pratt in the second half, Tim, has been catching the ball facing the basket, and Pratt is much better with his back to the basket down in the blocks.
Iowa State, 21 turnovers today. That's the most since Iowa back on December the 14th. They turned it over 21 times in that game. Shot clock at 15. Pierce. Willoughby clears it.
Tim, the Iowa State defense is keeping them in this. They turn the ball over on the offensive end, but they're still right there.
Willoughby.
He's alone. Nice job by LaFrentz. You notice he just left Edwards.
Jacque Vaughn now staying with Willoughby.
So there's Pratt going to the basket again. Pratt is just not as effective going to the basket. He's much more effective catching his ball with his back to the basket inside. And I think the absence of Cato here is really a significant factor. They've got no real threat on the inside. LaFrentz not even guarding Edwards in there.
Iowa State's offense really on a life support system. And Vaughn, you figure it's only a matter of time before Kansas makes it a 2-possession game, and on the putback, TJ Pugh does that. He has 5, 58-53. Nearing the 2-minute mark.
Now, Tim, it's not like Iowa State's just going down and throwing it out of bounds. These guys in the blue shirts out here are doing a heck of a job on the defensive end as well.
Arguably the best defensive team in the country. Vaughn running through that screen, and the foul spotted against it.
One thing that Kansas has not done very effectively today is score off offensive rebounds, but Pugh with a very nice rebound, an aggressive move to the basket right there. Remember, Cato has fouled out of the game. So the big rebounding presence for Iowa State gone.
Klay Edwards at the stripe, only 47%. Illustrated by that effort. And you see the timeouts remaining. 20-second timeouts, 2 of them for Kansas, just 1 for Iowa State. Edwards gets 1 of the 2. 58-54. And pressure. That foul against Pratt. Again, a reminder, Olympic Winterfest featuring downhill skiing, the women's giant slalom coming up next here on CBS Sports.
Tim, and as we just showed, each team well over the 10-foul double bonus limit, so Pugh will go to the line for 2. In Big 8 play, Pugh only a 53% free throw shooter, 1 for 2 today.
He's added 20 pounds since last season, so he's had a physical presence. Kansas, 10 of, I'll make that 11 of 22 at the line today. Just 50%, well below their average as a team. Helping to keep Iowa State in this with their problems offensively. Haase now shadowing Willoughby. Now a double team.
Well, LaFrentz just left Edwards.
Pratt on his own gets Pugh airborne. Forced it. LaFrentz there to take it away. And a reach-in foul against Kenny Pratt.
The frustration really beginning to show. Another runaway victory for Quick Rick's Cats, it would appear. Wake Forest now out to a comfortable lead on Missouri.
And if all those scores stay the same, then I think your top 3 in the country stays the same.
Some argument out of the Big Ten, I'm sure, for Minnesota, but their record and RPI rating, if you look at such things, would indicate that they would, in fact, remain in 4th in most of the national polls.
Iowa State 6th in one poll, 13th in another. That's why the importance of this game, where seeding's concerned for them, is perhaps a 2 or 3 seed comes into effect. Not too early to think of such things with a month remaining until Selection Sunday. 61-54, Kansas by 7.
Williams back in the game. He's got 4 personal fouls. And LaFrentz, he picked up 4 fouls fairly early in this half. But he's got 17 points to go along with 9 rebounds. And now Iowa State in a must-score situation.
Bankhead, that's anxiety there.
Anticipating a shot. The 23rd turnover committed by Iowa State. They trail by 7. Only 1:14 remaining for Roy Williams. And a victory. State led by 4 at halftime, but Tim Floyd's lead gone, and foul difficulty also a problem. Jerod Haase will call a timeout as Iowa State's defense of that inbounds pass a bit too suffocating.
Tim Floyd, of course, to remind everybody that they've lost Kelvin Cato. Cato picked up 2 very, very quick fouls at the start of the second half, and that really hurt Iowa State.
The Kansas Jayhawks, #1, hopeful of retaining that lofty position in the national polls this weekend, leading by 7. 61-54.
And even though Dedric Willoughby has 30 points in the game, Kansas's defense has shut him off when they've needed to.
Klay Edwards with the foul, checking Raef LaFrentz. 4th foul against Edwards. Kelvin Cato fouled out earlier. That certainly did not help Iowa State's cause. And add to that Willoughby being shut down, really the only offensive anchor for this Iowa State team. You see Kansas with the possession arrow as we reset it for you. A couple of full timeouts remaining. Likely to be a foul shooting fest in the remaining 111.
Tim, the most amazing stat to me of this game as you get a look at Cato on the bench, he's fouled out, is that in the second half, Iowa State has converted only 4 field goals. That classifies as a big-time defensive effort by the Jayhawks of Kansas. And every time Willoughby has caught the ball, LaFrentz has been standing there right in his face, and he's been limited. He hasn't been able to do that.
That is another 3-pointer, a career high for him. He has 8 threes.
Pratt looking for the steal.
Boy, and Haase really got hurt. Haase banged into LaFrentz and called that timeout because he really got nailed in that left shoulder. He really took a blow.
Already playing with a broken bone in his hand, Jerod Haase. Class of hard knocks from his own teammates late in this game. 6.3 remaining in our game. #1 Kansas up by 6 over Iowa State. Iowa State with 2 full timeouts and a 20. Kansas with 1 full. They're out of 22nd timeout. Still a 2-possession game. Last touch by Iowa State.
Kansas had a difficult time getting the ball in bounds on a couple of occasions in the second half. Forced a timeout one time. Fortunate to keep the ball that time. Boy, LaFrentz looking for the ball, knocked Pierce down on his way to get it. They throw it into Robertson, and now Willoughby commits the foul.
Second foul against Dedric Willoughby. Well, give Roy Williams and the Jayhawks credit. They take everyone's best shot. They lost at Missouri, and really on a loose ball thrown into the air in an overtime session against the Missouri Tigers. This is a team that, because of the losses by Kentucky as well as Wake Forest earlier in the week, should be pointed out that Wake Forest lost at home. Kentucky lost on the road, as did Kansas.
Kansas, in my opinion, is the best team in the country. And if you can come to this place at Hilton Coliseum in this kind of an atmosphere and win the ball game, I think you deserve to be the #1 team in the country.
Agreed. Willoughby off the back iron, out of bounds to Iowa State.
Now, Tim, let's just take a look at this for a minute. There's 33.2 seconds left in the game. It's a 2-possession game. And what we're talking about, if Tim Floyd's troops can get a 3-point basket and a steal, they're still in this thing.
You know it's coming to Willoughby if they can free. Haase continues to shadow him, and a timeout by Jacy Holloway. 33.2 remaining. Jayhawks by 6. We'll be back. That was a 20-second timeout. We got the indication after we had gone to break. Jayhawks leading by 6, 33.2 remaining.
Obviously looking for a 3 or a 3-point play.
Bankhead. That's not his shot. Loose ball. LaFrentz brings it down. And a foul. Pratt picking up his 5th. Second Cyclone to lose his eligibility for today's game. The other being Kelvin Cato. He'll leave with 14 points and 11 boards, and was shut out by Kansas's defense in the second half. Was a real factor early in this game.
Pratt had 8 points in the first half, Tim, and they all came in a very important stretch early in the game when Iowa State was struggling for some offense, and Pratt's play inside helped get them back in it in the first half. But Kansas really closed him out in this half.
Again, a reminder, Olympic Winterfest coming up immediately following our game, featuring downhill skiing from the women, the women's giant slalom. The women's giant slalom coming up next on the Olympic Winterfest. LaFrentz has now moved past Steve Woodbury for 16th on the all-time list, right behind JoJo White. Willoughby forcing one up, Vaughn bringing it down. And the Jayhawks are #1 with a bullet now, one would think. The Chevrolet most valuable players for today's game are Paul Pierce from Kansas. Of his 17 points, 12 of those came in the second half. He had 10 rebounds. Dedric Willoughby single-handedly keeping Iowa State in the game. He had 33 points. Chevrolet will donate $1,000 to each school's general scholarship fund to reward outstanding students for their academic achievements and to assist those in financial need.
Tim, I'll tell you what, for Kansas, they've gotten big efforts from a lot of people. Pierce did a great job attacking the basket early in the second half, but Vaughn has 17 points. LaFrentz has done a great job. I don't know how anybody can play harder than Haase has played in this game. LaFrentz, 21 points, 10 rebounds. This is a very, very good basketball team.
Willoughby hits a 3. Quick foul committed by Tony Rampton. His second since coming in. 67-60 with the clock stopped. 9.8 remaining. And Haase shooting 2. I think he embodies the strength of this Kansas senior class. To make the Final Four so badly, will forego surgery until after the season on that broken hand. Rampton. And the Kansas Jayhawks have come in to Hilton Coliseum and won for the 23rd time Only one conference loss as Iowa State drops to 16-4, 7-3 in the Big 12. So for Dan Bonner, Tim Brando saying so long from Hilton Coliseum, where our final score, Kansas 69, Iowa State 62. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports.
College game for